Stop telling yourself that being broke is holy. Poverty is not a spiritual gift, it's a mindset, and mindsets can be renewed. The very first step to financial freedom is not opening a savings account or paying off debt. It's a transformation of how you think about money. The Bible says in Romans 12:2, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." If your thoughts about money are still shaped by fear, guilt, or lack, every dollar you earn will slip through your fingers. Think of Joseph in Egypt. Before he ever managed Pharaoh's wealth, he had already developed a mindset of stewardship in Potiphar's house and even in prison. His circumstances didn't define his thinking. His thinking defined how he handled every circumstance. That's why when the opportunity for influence came, he was ready. You need to make the same shift. Instead of "I can't afford that," start asking, "How can I create the resources for that?" Instead of "Riches are dangerous," remind yourself that wealth in righteous hands funds kingdom work, blesses communities, and frees you from serving the wrong masters. Matthew 6 verse 24 warns you can't serve both God and money, but it never says you can't serve God with money. On the practical side, you can accelerate this mindset shift by immersing yourself in godly financial teaching. Follow proven Christian entrepreneurs like Strive Masiyiwa, whose billion-dollar telecom empire funds massive charitable work, or Lindsay Snyder of In-N-Out Burger, who keeps her faith central in a multi-billion-dollar company. Read books by Dave Ramsey or John C. Maxwell on biblical money management. Use podcasts, sermons, and even financial literacy apps like Khan Academy or Coursera's finance courses to reshape your beliefs. One exercise I give coaching clients is to write down 3 money lies they've believed, then replace each one with a biblical truth. For example, money lie: if I have more, others will have less. Biblical truth: God is unlimited in provision, Philippians 4:19. Money lie: wealth will corrupt me. Biblical truth: wealth is a tool, character determines how it's used, 1 Timothy 6:17-18. Money lie: I'll never get out of debt. Biblical truth: God gives strategies to break bondage, Deuteronomy 28 verse 12. This is your foundation. Without it, every other financial step will feel like pushing a boulder uphill. With it, you'll start seeing opportunities, solutions, and divine connections you never noticed before. The shift is simple, but it's not easy. You must reject the poverty spirit every single day. But once your mind is aligned with kingdom abundance, you're ready for the next step, defining a financial vision so clear it pulls you forward. You cannot hit a target you haven't defined. Financial freedom doesn't happen by accident, it's the result of intentional spirit-led direction. Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." That includes your finances. Without a God-given financial vision, you'll drift from paycheck to paycheck, reacting to life instead of building it. This isn't about writing down a wish list of material things. It's about asking, "Lord, what do you want my financial life to look like?" Your vision might include funding missions, paying off your parents' home, creating scholarships, building a business that employs hundreds, or leaving a debt-free inheritance for your children's children, Proverbs 13:22. Look at Nehemiah. Before he rebuilt Jerusalem's walls, he had a clear vision, a timeline, and a resource plan. He didn't say, "Let's see how it goes." He prayed, planned, and then acted. Your financial vision must work the same way. It must be specific, measurable, and connected to kingdom purpose. Practically, start by crafting a financial vision board. Use tools like Canva or even a simple corkboard to display images, scriptures, and numbers representing your God-given goals. Break them into timelines: short-term, 1 to 2 years, mid-term, 3 to 5 years, and long-term, 10+ years. This could mean short-term: build a $10,000 emergency fund using a high-yield savings account from Ally Bank. Mid-term: pay off your mortgage using the debt snowball method from Dave Ramsey. Long-term: create a charitable foundation using business profits. Then, put numbers to your vision. If you want to retire at 60 with $2 million invested, calculate the monthly contributions needed. You can use online calculators from Vanguard or Personal Capital's retirement planner to get exact figures. This makes your vision concrete, no more vague dreams. Lydia, the seller of purple in Act 16, had a clear marketplace vision. She wasn't just selling fabric, she was building influence, creating wealth, and supporting kingdom work. Her clarity meant she knew where her resources were going. The same will happen for you. When your vision is clear, distractions lose their power. Here's the warning: if you don't define your financial vision, someone else will. Employers, advertisers, and even family members will pull you into their priorities. But when you have a vision anchored in prayer and backed by numbers, you gain the courage to say no to anything that doesn't align. With your mind renewed and your vision set, you're ready for the next move, breaking the chains that keep you from moving forward. Debt. Debt is a thief that robs your future before you even get there. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The borrower is servant to the lender." If you're carrying debt, especially high-interest consumer debt, you are in a form of financial bondage, and it must be broken if you want true freedom. Now, this isn't about shaming you for past mistakes. Even biblical heroes face seasons of lack. But God's plan is never for his people to live indefinitely in debt. Remember Elisha and the widow in 2 Kings 4? She was drowning in debt, and the creditors were coming to take her sons. Through God's instruction, she multiplied oil and paid off everything she owed, then lived on the surplus. That's the picture of debt freedom: clear obligations and room to breathe. Practically, start by listing every debt you have, balances, interest rates, and minimum payments. Then choose your repayment method. The debt snowball method, popularized by Dave Ramsey, focuses on paying off the smallest balance first to build momentum. The debt avalanche method focuses on knocking out the highest interest rate first to save more money over time. Tools like EveryDollar, Mint, or YNAB, You Need a Budget, can help you track payments and see your progress visually. While you're paying off debt, stop adding to it. Cut up credit cards if you have to, or freeze them in a block of ice, literally. Switch to a cash envelope system for everyday spending. Apps like Envelopes digitize this system if you prefer going paperless. Some believers over-spiritualize debt freedom, praying for miraculous cancellation without embracing discipline. Yes, God can provide supernatural breakthroughs, but more often he provides a plan and the wisdom to execute it. In Deuteronomy 28:12, God's blessing is that you will lend to many and borrow from none, but that promise is tied to obedience and wise stewardship. Look at modern Christian entrepreneur Mary Kay Ash, founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. She built her company debt-free, reinvesting profits instead of borrowing aggressively. Her discipline meant her business grew on solid ground, not shaky credit. You can adopt the same principle, whether in business or personal life. Here's the kingdom truth: every dollar you send to a lender is a dollar you can't send toward your vision. Breaking free from debt isn't just financial, it's spiritual. It reclaims your capacity to fund God's assignments without asking a bank for permission. Once debt is out of the way, or at least under control, you'll have room to make a powerful shift, learning to live below your means without living below your calling. Living below your means is not about shrinking your life, it's about expanding your options. Too many believers confuse frugality with deprivation, but there's a difference between a poverty spirit and wise stewardship. The poverty spirit says, "I don't deserve better," but wise stewardship says, "I choose not to overspend so I can build something bigger." Jesus spoke in Luke 14:28 about counting the cost before building a tower. That's what living below your means really is. It's counting the cost and ensuring you're not building on financial quicksand. The Proverbs 31 woman understood this well. She was resourceful, bought land, planted vineyards, and clothed her household. Yet she did it in a way that balanced provision and prudence. Here's the practical framework. Determine your real cost of living and keep it well below your total income. If you earn $80,000 a year, design your lifestyle as if you earn $60,000 and funnel the rest toward debt repayment, investments, and kingdom work. Tools like Pocket Guard or Tiller Money can help you track where your money is actually going so you can make strategic cuts. This is also where lifestyle creep must be resisted. As your income grows, so will the temptation to upgrade everything: cars, vacations, wardrobes. Resist the urge to match spending to income. Warren Buffett, though not a preacher, embodies biblical wisdom here. Even as a billionaire, he's lived in the same house since 1958. That principle aligns with 1 Timothy 6:6. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Modern Christian entrepreneur Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A, modeled this perfectly. Even with enormous business success, he avoided excessive personal luxury and reinvested in his people and community. Practical technique here is the 50-30-20 rule. Spend 50% of income on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings investments. If you want to accelerate financial freedom, flip it. Make 20% your needs buffer and push 50% into savings investments. The numbers may vary, but the point is to intentionally underlive your means. This isn't punishment, it's positioning. Every dollar you don't spend on fleeting status symbols becomes a soldier in your financial army, working 24/7 to win your freedom. And when your lifestyle is under control, you'll be ready for the next protective layer, building an emergency fund so crises never knock you back into debt. An emergency fund is your shield against the unexpected. Without it, a single crisis, a medical bill, job loss, or major car repair can wipe out months of progress and throw you back into debt. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." In modern terms, the wise keep reserves, the unwise live with nothing set aside. Think about Joseph in Egypt again. God gave him the foresight to store grain during 7 years of abundance so the nation could survive 7 years of famine. That's not just a nice Bible story, that's a model for your financial life. Practically, aim for an emergency fund that covers at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses. If your monthly expenses are $3,000, that's $9,000 to $18,000 sitting in a safe, easily accessible account. Use a high-yield savings account with banks like Ally, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, or Discover to earn interest while keeping funds liquid. If you're a business owner, build a separate business emergency fund as well. Getting started can feel overwhelming, so break it down. Step 1. Save a starter fund of $1,000 as fast as possible. Sell items, pick up extra shifts, or start a side hustle. Step 2. Automate transfers. Use apps like Chime or Fidelity Bloom to send a set amount every payday to your emergency account. Step 3. Only use it for real emergencies, not sales at your favorite store or urgent vacations. Christian entrepreneur Damon John from Shark Tank calls this a peace of mind account. While he's known for aggressive business moves, he's also adamant about having cash reserves so he never has to make desperate decisions. From a kingdom perspective, an emergency fund protects your ability to be generous even during tough seasons. If your car breaks down, you won't need to choose between fixing it and paying your tithe. You can maintain both because you planned ahead. Without an emergency fund, every unexpected expense feels like an attack. With one, crises become inconveniences, not catastrophes. And once you have that shield in place, you're ready to wield one of the most powerful tools of stewardship: budgeting. Budgeting is not a prison. It's a path to freedom. Too many people resist it because they think it's restrictive, but in reality, it gives you control over your money instead of wondering where it went. Proverbs 27 verse 23 says, "Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds." In today's language, that means Know exactly where your money is going. A budget is simply a plan for your income. Without it, you're like a ship without a compass, drifting wherever the current of expenses takes you. Even Jesus highlighted the importance of planning in Luke 14, verse 28, when he spoke about counting the cost before starting to build. The practical key is to pick a budgeting method that fits your personality and season of life. Zero-based budgeting. Assign every dollar a job before the month begins. Tools like EveryDollar or YNAB make this seamless. Physically or digitally, divide your spending into categories, like groceries, fuel, and entertainment. Digital versions like envelopes or Good Budget are great for cashless lifestyles. A simple ratio-based approach for needs, wants, and savings investments. Start with tracking. For 1 month, log every single expense, yes, even the coffee runs. Use Mint, Pocket Guard, or even a simple Google Sheet. The goal is awareness, because you can't fix what you don't measure. The Proverbs 31 woman would have excelled at budgeting. She bought supplies strategically, sold products for profit, and had enough surplus to provide for her family and help the needy. Her stewardship wasn't accidental, it was intentional. One trap to avoid: budgeting without aligning it to your vision from Section 2. A budget that only focuses on bills and debts but ignores kingdom purpose becomes mechanical and uninspiring. Build in categories for generosity, education, business reinvestment, and long-term investing. Modern Christian businessman David Green of Hobby Lobby runs his empire with meticulous budgeting at the corporate level. This discipline allows his company to give away hundreds of millions to ministry work while staying debt-free. That's proof budgeting is not anti-faith. It's a tool God uses to multiply impact. When your budget is in place, you'll see where your surplus really is. And that's when you can start multiplying your income streams, just as Jesus taught in the parable of the talents. If budgeting is about controlling what comes in and goes out, increasing your income is about multiplying what God has placed in your hands. Too many people pray for financial breakthrough while ignoring the talents, skills, and opportunities already available to them. The parable of the talents in Matthew 25 makes it clear. God expects multiplication, not stagnation. Your income is not limited to your job title. You are made in the image of a creator, which means you are inherently creative. Look at Paul in Acts. While preaching the gospel, he also made tents to support himself. Look at Paul in Acts. While preaching the gospel, he also made tents to support himself. That's income diversification in the first century. Practically, start by identifying your marketable skills. Can you teach, write, fix things, lead teams, design? Use platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, or Freelancer to monetize your abilities. If you have a product idea, use Shopify or Etsy to sell online. If you're in real estate, consider rental property using tools like Avail, or invest in REITs through Fundrise or CrowdStreet. Christian entrepreneur Strive Masiyiwa built Africa's largest telecom network from nothing, but he started by solving one problem: connecting people. His business didn't just provide income, it transformed nations. Your side business or new income stream may not start massive, but if it solves a problem and adds value, it can grow far beyond your expectations. Here's a principle to embrace: never rely on a single stream of income. Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, "Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land." That's not just poetic, it's risk management. One income stream can dry up overnight. Multiple streams give you resilience. Some believers hesitate here, thinking extra income will distract them from ministry. But in truth, greater income done righteously fuels greater ministry. Imagine funding your church's building project in full, or paying for a missionary's year of service without touching your emergency fund. Once you've started increasing your income, the next step is to make that income work for you through wise, diversified investing that honors both eternal and earthly returns. Investing is how you turn today's surplus into tomorrow's security. It's also one of the most misunderstood areas for believers. Some avoid it out of fear, others chase it recklessly. The Bible gives balance. In Matthew 25, the master rebuked the servant who buried his talent instead of putting it to work. Proverbs 13:11 adds, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." Wise investing is not gambling, it's calculated stewardship. Your goal is twofold. 1, grow resources to fulfill your God-given vision. 2, preserve purchasing power against inflation and life's uncertainties. Start with diversification, the same principle as Ecclesiastes 11:2. Don't put all your capital in one stock, one property, or one trend. Spread investments across asset classes. Stock market, index funds, or ETFs through platforms like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. Real estate, rental properties, REITs via Fundrise or CrowdStreet. Fixed income, treasury bills, municipal bonds, or certificates of deposit for stability. Alternative assets, crowdfunding ventures, peer-to-peer lending via Lending Club, or even business equity. Dollar cost averaging, DCA, is a practical tool, investing a fixed amount regularly regardless of market conditions. It reduces emotional decision-making and takes advantage of long-term compounding. Apps like Acorns or Betterment automate this beautifully. Lydia, the merchant in Acts 16, likely reinvested her profits into expanding her trade routes and product offerings. She wasn't hoarding, she was compounding her influence and income. Modern Christian investor Mark Burnett, producer of the Bible series, has taken his business earnings and reinvested them into projects that align with his values, influencing millions worldwide. From a kingdom perspective, investing also means funding initiatives with eternal returns, supporting ministries, building orphanages, or providing microloans to Christian entrepreneurs in developing nations. These investments may not yield earthly dividends, but bring eternal reward. One warning, beware of get-rich-quick traps disguised as investments. Proverbs 28:20 warns that the one who hastens to get rich will not go unpunished. Always vet opportunities, seek counsel, and stay within your risk tolerance. When your investments are growing, the next step is ensuring they, and everything else you've built, are protected so they can serve future generations. Building wealth is one thing, keeping it is another. Proverbs 27:12 says, "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." Protecting your assets isn't fear-based, it's wisdom. If you don't safeguard what God has entrusted to you, one lawsuit, accident, or unforeseen disaster can undo years of faithful stewardship. Start with insurance, the unglamorous but essential shield. At minimum, consider to avoid catastrophic medical debt. Life insurance, term policies to provide for your family if something happens to you. Property and casualty insurance, homeowners or renters coverage for your dwelling and possessions. Liability insurance, umbrella policies to protect against lawsuits. Disability insurance, replaces income if you can't work due to illness or injury. Business owners should also have general liability insurance and, where needed, professional indemnity coverage. Tools like Policy Genius or Select Quote can help you compare and find affordable plans. Next, think about legal protection. Simple steps like creating a will, establishing a living trust, and having a power of attorney can prevent chaos for your loved ones. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." Without legal structure, that inheritance can be tied up in probate or lost to disputes. Platforms like LegalZoom or Trust and Will make this more accessible than ever. Consider asset protection strategies. For real estate, Hold properties in LLCs. Keep personal and business finances separate using dedicated business bank accounts. Maintain adequate reserves so you're never forced to sell investments in a downturn. Look at biblical King Hezekiah. When envoys visited him, he foolishly showed them all his treasures without safeguards, setting the stage for future loss. 2 Kings 20:13-17. Protecting what you have means you don't just flaunt blessings, you secure them. Modern Christian leaders like Dave Ramsey emphasize this constantly. Protection is not a lack of faith. It's a commitment to preserve what God has given so it can be multiplied and passed on. With your assets guarded, you can now engage one of the most counterintuitive accelerators of wealth, giving generously. The world says, hold on to what you have. The kingdom says, give, and it will be given to you. Luke 6:38. Generosity is not just charity, it's a wealth accelerator in God's economy. When you give in alignment with His leading, you plant seeds that multiply in ways you can't predict but can absolutely expect. Look at the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings 17. She gave her last meal to Elijah, and God ensured her jar of flour and jug of oil never ran out during the famine. Her act of generosity unlocked supernatural provision. The same principle applies today, not as a gimmick, but as a law of sowing and reaping, Galatians 6:7. Practically, start with the tithe, a tenth of your increase, as a baseline of obedience, Malachi 3:10. Then build beyond that into offerings, charitable contributions, and strategic generosity. This could mean supporting missions and church plants, funding scholarships for underprivileged students, partnering with microfinance initiatives like Kiva to help entrepreneurs in developing countries, creating a donor-advised fund through providers like Fidelity Charitable for tax-efficient giving. Christian entrepreneur David Green of Hobby Lobby has given away more than half his company's profits to ministry and charity, yet the business continues to thrive. That's not coincidence. That's kingdom economics. Generosity also breaks the grip of greed. It reminds you that you are a steward, not the ultimate owner. Psalm 24:1 makes it clear, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. When you give, you're simply reallocating God's resources according to His priorities. One practical tool is to create a generosity budget. Allocate a set percentage of your income each month specifically for giving. Keep it separate from your tithe and look for opportunities, both planned and spontaneous, to bless others. Here's the paradox. In the world's system, giving depletes. In God's system, giving multiplies. But multiplication doesn't happen in isolation. You'll need the right people and counsel around you to maximize it. That's where the next step comes in, surrounding yourself with wise counsel who keep you sharp and on track. You will never rise higher than the wisdom of those you consistently listen to. Proverbs 15, verse 22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." Financial freedom is not a solo mission. God designed you to walk with wise people who can see what you can't. Think about Daniel in Babylon. Even in a foreign system, he had a circle, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who shared his convictions and values. They strengthened one another to make decisions that honored God while thriving in a challenging environment. Your financial journey requires the same intentional community. Practically, this means assembling a financial counsel team for different areas. A pastor, mentor, or faith-driven accountability partner. A certified financial planner who understands biblical stewardship. A CPA or tax advisor to help you legally minimize taxes. An attorney for contracts, wills, and asset protection. Peer accountability, a mastermind group or small group focused on business and finance. You don't have to start with expensive retainers. Use platforms like Smart Asset or XY Planning Network to find advisors within your budget. Join Christian business communities like C12 Group or Kingdom Advisors to connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and professionals. Modern Christian leader Craig Groeschel often says, "You may be one friend away from changing the course of your destiny." The same applies financially. One conversation with the right person can save you years of mistakes or open doors to opportunities you never considered. The warning here is just as important. Wrong counsel will cost you more than no counsel. Psalm 1 warns against walking in the counsel of the wicked. Don't take financial advice from people who live in constant debt, overspend, or operate without integrity. With wise counsel around you, you'll have the support to make one of the hardest shifts for most people, trading instant gratification for long-term gain. If there's one habit that separates those who stay financially stuck from those who achieve freedom, it's the ability to delay gratification. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." In other words, if you're always chasing the quick fix, you'll miss the real harvest. Delayed gratification is not about denying yourself forever. It's about choosing the right timing. Even Jesus, who had all authority, waited until the appointed time for his ministry to begin. Timing matters in the kingdom, and it matters in your money. Practically, here's how to strengthen this muscle. Create a 30-day rule. For non-essential purchases, wait 30 days before buying. Often, the need will fade. Set tangible miles. Reward yourself after hitting specific savings or investment goals. Automate your priorities first. Use direct deposit or apps like Acorns, Betterment, or Fidelity Go to invest or save before you even see the money in your spending account. Use charts, apps, or even a wall tracker to watch your emergency fund, investments, and debt payoff grow. Seeing progress fuels patience. Abraham is a biblical case study here. God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars, but it took decades for Isaac to be born. His story shows the cost of impatience, Ishmael, and the reward of waiting, Isaac. Financially, impatience leads to credit card debt, get-rich-quick losses, and underfunded futures. Patience leads to compounding returns, debt-free living, and true security. Modern Christian entrepreneur John C. Maxwell often says, "You will never change your life until you change something you do daily." That includes daily habits of restraint and discipline. The danger is that culture preaches the opposite. Buy now, pay later. You deserve it today, don't wait. But in reality, every act of delayed gratification is a seed sown for future freedom. And to keep that seed growing, you must check the soil regularly, meaning you have to consistently review and adjust your financial plan so it doesn't drift off course. Financial freedom is not a set-it-and-forget-it process. Even the best plans can drift if you're not actively monitoring them. Proverbs 27 verse 23-24 warns us to be sure you know the condition of your flocks, for riches do not endure forever. That's God's way of saying, wealth left unattended will eventually erode. A regular review keeps you aligned with your vision from Section 2 and allows you to make course corrections before problems grow. Just as a pilot constantly adjusts their route based on wind and weather, you must adjust your financial path based on life changes, market shifts, and God's new assignments for you. Here's a simple review rhythm. Monthly, track spending, update your budget, review debt payoff progress. Quarterly, check investment performance, rebalance portfolios if needed using tools like Personal Capital, Fidelity, or Vanguard dashboards. Annually, revisit your financial goals, insurance coverage, and estate plans. Evaluate whether your giving aligns with current income and kingdom assignments. Nehemiah is a biblical example of this vigilance. Even after the walls of Jerusalem were rebuilt, he inspected them regularly and took action when he saw decay or neglect. Your financial walls are no different. Ignore them, and cracks will appear. Modern Christian financial experts like Chris Hogan emphasize this ongoing process. His advice: treat your financial plan like a living document, not a static one. Markets change, family needs shift, and God may call you into new ventures that require funding flexibility. One advanced technique is creating an investment policy statement, IPS, a written plan for how you will invest, when you will rebalance, and what criteria will trigger changes. This keeps emotions out of decision-making, especially during volatile market seasons. Here's the warning: neglect breeds loss. Small oversights, a forgotten subscription, an underperforming investment, an outdated insurance policy can cost thousands over time. Regular reviews prevent slow leaks from sinking your financial ship. Once you're in the habit of review and adjustment, all that remains is to walk daily in the discipline and faith that keep your momentum unstoppable. Financial freedom is not a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. You don't arrive at some magical finish line and then throw discipline out the window. You walk it out daily, combining consistent action with unshakable faith. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." This is where habits become your guardrails. Continue living below your means, even as your income grows. Keep giving generously, even when it feels sacrificial. Maintain your budget and review your investments, even during quiet seasons when everything seems fine. True freedom is preserved through consistency. From a spiritual standpoint, daily gratitude and prayer keep you aligned with the source of your provision. Deuteronomy 8:18 warns not to forget the Lord who gives you the power to get wealth. Begin and end your days acknowledging Him as the owner of everything you manage. Practically, set up systems so your discipline doesn't depend on mood or willpower. Automate savings and investments through platforms like Wealthfront, Vanguard, or M1 Finance. Schedule quarterly money meetings with your spouse, accountability partner, or financial advisor. Use reminders and recurring tasks in tools like Notion or Google Calendar to review specific financial checkpoints. Consider the example of Boaz in the book of Ruth. He consistently operated with integrity, generosity, and diligence, so much so that when opportunity came to redeem Ruth, he was financially and spiritually ready. That readiness didn't happen overnight. It was the result of daily faithfulness. Modern Christian entrepreneur Lindsay Snyder of In-N-Out Burger has openly shared that her business and personal life are run with constant accountability, prayer, and stewardship. That's why her success has been sustainable, not fleeting. Now speak this over yourself. I am a faithful steward of God's resources. I walk in wisdom, discipline, and generosity. My wealth serves God's purposes and blesses generations. I am free from the spirit of lack. I live in kingdom abundance. This is your call to act. Don't just listen. Move. Review your vision, pick the step you're most behind on, and start today. Your financial freedom is not a dream. It's a path God has already marked out for you. And if this teaching stirred your faith and sharpened your strategy, subscribe to WealthOga for more biblical wealth principles and real-world financial tools to help you build, protect, and multiply what God has placed in your hands.